Hi, I would like to know if you are the CEO of your company. And I'm not talking about the chief executive officer, I'm talking about the chief energy officer. There is so much that we can do with our own energy and spread it around, whether it's in our families, our communities, or within our businesses. Hi, my name is Patty Moeller, and I am a licensed mental health therapist here in Jacksonville, Florida. And that's what our topic is today, is how to give all of you the top 5 strategies moving forward into this post-COVID world that we're hopefully going to experience very soon. So yes, I want you to be that chief energy officer. It's the best thing. I have been doing so many of these discussions around with businesses as we are all trying to figure out, pivot, what's going on in the world today. And what I'm hearing from a lot of employees and a lot of people is that we're showing up trying to find something wrong with what's going on in the business instead of finding out what's going right. Who's doing the right thing? Who's doing something small that's making a huge difference and an impact on somebody? I tell you, there's a big difference if you walk into your gym one day and you say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for cleaning down all the equipment. It's not even your job, and you did that. And I wanted you to notice that I noticed." It's another thing to walk in and say to somebody, "Man, I saw you spending that extra few minutes with your colleague helping on that computer program. I appreciate that, and I noticed it. Man, I saw you talking to the mail person the other day. I have a feeling they aren't getting too many pats on the back, and I thought it was really cool." We energize others when we find out what's good and positive. Yes, there might be 10 things that are wrong or not working on that particular day, but something's going right. Find that. Tell that person about it. Tell them that you recognize them. What human beings want is to be seen, heard, and validated. That's always worth saying again. Every human being wants to be seen, heard, and validated. And as we move into this post-COVID position that we're headed towards, this is about connecting with people. We made a mistake coming out of the gate. We called this COVID a social isolating event. No, we should not have done that. To be honest, we should have called it a spatially distance event, because that's what this is about. We are creating such problems, especially in the mental health world. We definitely are seeing people die, maybe not because they are isolated, but there is some truth to that too. But we're also seeing an increase in suicides and an increase in domestic violence. I don't think we would have seen as large increase if we had called it what it is, spatial distancing, not social distancing. So as we moved into 1921 or 2021, I'm hoping that we find again that we start communicating more with human beings and finding connection. And that's going to be what's so important. Tip number 2 is that there's just no opportunity wasted. I call it now. We only have now, no opportunity wasted. What I mean by that is we need to stop talking about the normal, whether it's going back to the old normal or looking forward to the new normal. This is creating such a sense of anxiety for everybody. And I want to use the car analogy. So the car analogy for me is if you're constantly looking in the rear view mirror, that's what creates depression. The things that you should have done, could have done, needed to get accomplished. That's looking and creates depression. It creates that sense of I'm just not good enough. I didn't accomplish enough. When you look through your windshield, that for me creates anxiety. So depression, rear view mirror, and looking forward through the windshield, that is creating anxiety because we don't know what's over the horizon. None of us know right now what's going on. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have one in my office. I don't think anybody knows what's happening. So if we'll stop calling it the new normal or the old normal, we're going to feel better and start living for right with what we have today. And that's so important for all of us. You know, in the midst of chaos, there is always opportunity. And so we want people to be able to figure out what's the opportunity right now? What can we not waste? And again, it's that human connection. I love that the person on here earlier came on and said, woohoo, I had an actual human being meeting. Wow, what language we're using. I was so caught off guard by that. We have become accustomed to this thing called Zoom. And again, that was a big pivot for all of us. I would have never told you that I could have done therapy sessions via Zoom, be speaking to millions of people when I do my talks via Zoom. It is an open and incredible world, but has also isolated a lot of people. So we need to keep that in mind, because what we want to do with our businesses is create a place that is safe and feels socially acceptable as well. Tip number 3, opportunities don't happen, we create them. And this difference to me is where language comes into play. I'm going to talk a little bit about I language. I don't mean I language. I mean about taking I statements and using them. What I've discovered over the last several years is that the word you creates this incredible sense of defensiveness in people. And I've done my fair share of research on this, and it's true. I'll kind of get out of the way, but it also comes with this finger. And we call this the shaming finger. Right? Do you remember this? You should get better grades. You should make your bed. You should get home by 4 o'clock. You should go do this. It has permeated our worlds, but it creates this sense where we feel smaller, we feel not heard or validated, and we want to defend it. And whether it's real or imagined, this finger, it feels like it's right in your face. So I'm going to encourage you to try to start every sentence with the word I. And the way I try to help my clients is by saying, I feel blank about blank. And I feel needs to have a feeling word. It's not, I feel because Susie did this, or I feel you should go do that. It's, I feel frustrated, happy, sad, excited, overwhelmed, whatever the emotion is. Start expressing it from a place of I. Takes down a barrier, and it lets people open up and hear what you're about to say. Along with the I language, I have found that the word why is another word that creates incredible defense. And we want to defend when somebody says, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you wear that? I'm going to use Janet, if you don't mind, Janet. So I'm going to use Janet because if I look at Janet and I said, you look great today, Janet's going to start thinking, okay, but did I not look great when you saw me the other day? It creates her defending herself and starting to think, what the heck, what's different today? If I look at Janet and I say, I love that outfit. It is bright and energetic, and it's so right on for today. I love it. It gave me energy. Thanks. I had to go get some new stuff for being on Zoom. I got tired of looking at the same stuff. I will get a story when I start with an I statement 10 times more than I ever will with a you statement and a why question. I kind of combined those. Let me try that again. So a why question creates defense, and I want you to notice that it will open up your world. That's where I was going with. I got a little lost there. So when you think about the I statement in combination with a why question, think of anything else. Who, what, where, any of those questions to create curiosity. So tell me about that dress. Help me understand what's going on. Those questions really evoke somebody dropping their veil of guardedness and coming in. I'll give you an example of maybe an employer and an employee. Here's scenario 1. I am the employer, and if somebody comes in my office and I say, your department's a mess. You haven't done anything all week. You've been unfocused. You're not getting the data done. And when the data is done, the data isn't even entered incorrectly. your department is a nightmare right now. That person just wants to crawl into a hole and not participate with their employer. Scenario number 2, I'm still the employer and somebody walks into my office. Ben, I have to tell you, I have some concerns. The department just doesn't seem to be kind of rolling on the same train as it was a couple weeks ago. It seems like there's some kinks going on. I've noticed and I'm concerned that the data's been late. And even when the data has been late and when I receive it, it hasn't exactly been on par for what's been coming out of that department. I'm concerned and I'm curious to know if there's anything I can do to help. Is there anything I need to know? I'm so glad you asked. My mom was put in hospice this last week and my family's just reeling with knowing she's going to die within the next couple of days. I have dropped the ball. I should have asked for help. I should have probably resourced some of these things out. I just thought I could manage it all. I didn't really realize how unfocused I was. Wow. Now we have a human connection. We have 2 people that are going to step into one another's shoes. We're going to create empathy, all by starting with eye language and being curious about what was happening with our employee. Tip number 4, finding opportunity is just a matter of believing that it is there. This is about active listening. We don't teach active listening very much. I do a lot with my couples, and that's probably what we spend the first several sessions on doing is active listening, because it is so important. Active listening means that I'm going to get rid of my agenda in my head, put it aside. Doesn't mean I can't come back to it, but I'm going to put it aside for temporary, and I'm going to fully engage with you. And in order to fully engage with you, I have to learn to listen so much that I can pick up on your emotions. I can pick up on words that you actually say to me, and I repeat them back to you. Give you a for instance, as somebody came in to work and somebody was like, oh my gosh, 95 was absolutely a zoo today. I am so angry and frustrated because there were 4 accidents and I had a really important meeting and I was 15 minutes late. I felt like a doofus. Somebody could either write that off and go, yeah, whatever, let's go. And you feel just totally dismissed. Or somebody can say, wow, that sounds like a crazy, frustrating day to be stuck on 95. Usually one accident, we understand. 4, that's crazy, right? I can't believe that happened today. And especially on a day I needed to be at work and to be on time. Yeah, that had to be crazy and super frustrating. Now we have a connection. And that person, just because I used words like 95 or crazy and told that person how that person might have felt, even that they reciprocated the words frustrating and angry, that person now knows that I'm in tune to them and I'm not thinking about the meeting. I'm just right there. I'm in the now, and I'm not going to miss this opportunity to spend time with you because you're the only important thing. And that's how I feel about this group. Yes, I had things to do before this, and yes, I'll have things to do after this, but there's no time like right now. And all of you and getting these points across and being able to hear your questions on the backside of this. It's about creating compassion. This one's also about creating compassion. As we move forward into 2021, we're going to have to put our guard down and hear both sides. Everybody out here in this world is hurting from something, from someone, from some statement, from something that's happened. And we need to create that safe place where people feel that they can come and talk to us. Tip number 5 is that opportunity dances with those who are already on the dance floor. And this one I think is tough. I teach it a lot, and I also think that it's one of the hardest things to do, and it's one of the hardest things I've had to relinquish myself, but that's giving advice. So here is the scoop. Never, and I don't believe in true absolutes, but I will say it again, never offer advice unless somebody specifically asks for it. I have seen time and time again relationships bloom when people stop trying to fix somebody, give them a solution. Most people just want to vent. Remember what I started with, that humans want to be seen, heard, and validated? It's right here. Don't give advice. Somebody just wants you to go, oh, wow, and emote with them. They just want space to tell their story. So in my book, Renew and Restore, How to Communicate, Connect, and Celebrate Your Best Self, I talk about this quite a bit because it's so, so important. I have a rule for myself that I never give advice with my personal friends if I haven't been asked, and I will ask them 3 times for permission before I actually will dive in there. So how does that look? I'll give you an example. My son called not too long ago, 10:30 at night. He lives in Austin, Texas, so I knew something was up. Hey, Mom, can we talk? And I need advice. I really want you to chime in this one. I said, okay, so are you venting or am I really giving advice? No, I want your advice. Okay. And I listen to the story and I switch over to my active listening. I've got to pay attention. And so I'll listen to the whole thing, and then I will actually ask, so, wow, that was a lot. That sounded overwhelming. Do you still want me to pipe in here to give advice? I'll get 2 answers right there. Yes, I really want your advice. Or, wow, just hearing myself say that, I got what I need to do. It's clear as a bell now. If I get the second, yes, I want your advice. So what I heard is, and then I'll repeat exactly what I think I heard. Is that pretty much the story, I'll say? Is that what I heard, and did I miss anything? No, I think you pretty much got it, Mom. What should I do? So you really want my advice. That was my 3rd attempt. That's when I will go ahead and offer my advice. You know that person that comes to us and wants to vent, and we dive into, well, you should call the boss, or you should make a list, and you should do all these things. We go to caretaking and fixing mode. Well, the person listening to the caretaking and listening mode, tune us out. They're gone, because all they wanted to do was be heard and say what they needed to say. And so what happens when that person comes back and says, hey, whatever happened with that thing the other day? Did you do the things that I told you to do? No, not at all. Wow, the person giving the advice, they're the ones that are angry and resentful about something they were never asked about. So it's not on the person that didn't go do it. It's on the person that gave free advice without being asked if that was okay. So we need to turn that around and make sure that when you are talking with anybody, that you're making sure whether you're listening just so that they can vent, or whether they're really asking for advice. It's been a pleasure to be here today, and I really hope that you gained something from this. The tips are quick, they're easy, there's only 5 of them, so let me go over them one more time. The CEO, you are the CEO of you. Wake up, find your energy. How are you going to find energy in others? They need to be seen, heard, and validated. Number 2, there is no new normal. Be in the now. No opportunity wasted. Live for right in this moment, right in this day, to fix and do and recreate and pivot what you need to do just for today. Number 3, create trust with language. Remember to try to start using I language and starting every sentence with the word I. My favorite place to practice? The people in Publix. That's right. When I go through the line, I try to make sure I don't say, your hair looks great. I try to switch it and go, I love the new do. Instead of saying, your line's the best, I try to reword it. Love getting in this line. It's my favorite one. It goes so quick. Thank you. Switching my language, it means I have to take a deep breath, slow down. Tip number 4 is your active listening. Slow down enough, put your agenda aside, step into somebody's shoes. Empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. Empathy means that you can literally step into somebody's shoes. I'm not saying agree with them. You don't have to agree with them, but can you for nanoseconds put yourself in those shoes and see a new perspective? It might change yours, but what I do know is that the person on the other end is going to feel like you are an empathetic person. And I truly believe that empathy can be taught. I teach a class down at St. Vincent's, and we are not allowed to give advice. We have to learn how to have empathy for what somebody tells us. It is so difficult because we have just been trained to try to help people. So try to switch that around. Tip number 5, it was to give no advice. And that's just a hardcore don't give advice. It's go sit in a circle sometimes, or at lunch when you go today, if you're out and about or you're with people. How many people chime in and try to tell people how to fix things and do things? And sit back and ask yourself, was anybody asked for their advice? It's amazing to me how many people want to tell you, the chief energy officer, how to run your life or the situation. It's been fabulous to be here today. I know that we have about 10 or 15 more minutes. If you want to shoot me some questions, I'd be happy to listen to them. Happy to explain anything that you've heard today. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being here.